Hey guys, welcome back to MMA Library. Today in MMA and UFC news. During a recent episode of the MMA Hour, Ariel Helwani claims Islam Makhachev is not on the same level as Khabib once was. I'm sorry, he isn't as good as Khabib, he's not. At this stage, 26 fights in, Khabib was more refined, dominant, and better. That being said, Makhachev's one of the top 3 best fighters on the planet. I know we're not allowed to criticize Islam Makhachev, I know that's taboo. I'm saying he won the fight. I'm saying he won fair and square. I'm being as unbiased as possible. I believe we are putting the praise and all the stuff we had on Khabib on Makhachev's shoulders. We are taking the baton that Khabib had and giving it to him because we want to continue that lineage. It ain't the same. He's not the same guy right now. How do I know he's not the same guy? Khabib never got knocked out by the Adriano Martins of the world. Khabib was never put in a position like this on Saturday in the 5th round getting beat up. Daniel Cormier insists he doesn't need permission from Jon Jones or other fans to commentate on Jon's fight with Ciryl Gane at UFC 285. Jones recently made a tweet insisting that DC should commentate on the fight. DC, you are more than welcome to commentate on my fight. I think you are really good at what you do. I trust that you would be non-biased. All the best, brother. This is what DC had to say.
I truly believe that I try so hard not to be biased that I go the other way. So all my teammates are generally pretty upset with me when I call their fights. But again, it's about Jones and how do I take this. First, guys, just for the record, I don't really need permission to call someone's fight. I'm not going to call Zach Candido or Craig Borsari and say, hey, Jon Jones said it's okay for me to call the fight, so you guys can put me on the call. But I'll be honest with you. It's kind of nice to hear the fighter acknowledge that even with our history, he believes that I could do him justice and do the job fairly. Because I've done it before. And I've done it at a time when him and I were at the height of our engagements, of our rivalry, of our fighting. When I called the Ovin St. Preux fight, I thought that I did him justice. At the end of the fight, he flipped me off when he left the octagon. Obviously, like I said, we're very deep into our rivalry. He even said after the fight, I don't know what he said, but I imagine he wasn't very nice. It seems as though Jones now is maturing. He seems to be taking a much different approach to the build to the fight and how he's approaching everything.
UFC legend Rampage Jackson had some advice for Francis Ngannou during a recent interview.
Hey, get you a great boxing coach. I feel you. That's very exciting. I'm jealous because I want to get into boxing. I see a lot of boxers calling him out. I saw Tyson Fury calling him out, and wow.
Deontay.
Yeah. I'm like, wow. You know, I think Francis, he got knockout power in both hands. More power to him. I would love to train with him and help him out in the way I can. I look up to him for what he's standing. For what he's standing for. I understand why he left the UFC. I left the UFC a long time ago, and the UFC tried to paint the narrative like I retired because they stole my Reebok deal. That was my deal. They stole it from me, and they didn't give me not one red penny. So I understand what Francis Ngannou is saying. So hey, I'm a bigger fan of yours now. I know. We on the same page. We're here, brother. We're here.
Conor McGregor is on his way to Vegas to begin shooting this year's season of The Ultimate Fighter. In a recent post to Instagram, McGregor had this to say: "On my way to Vegas to coach a few kids to a UFC contract. All blessing, a privilege, an honor, my pleasure. Welcome to UFC with the Mac."
Here we go, here's the takeout of it. Here we go, Black Fork going on the jet. Thank you so much. Got one of them chicken burgers, baby. It's the new chicken burgers, eh? It's the new ones.
Mommy, can I have a burger?
Yes. The proper spicy black fork red sauce. Over that red sauce, eh? Wow, only at the Black Fork Gym.
Michael Chandler is upset with the UFC following the announcement that his fight with Conor McGregor will be at 155 and not 170 like he previously thought. During a recent interview, Dana White confirmed that the fight would be at lightweight. Here's what Chandler had to say about the announcement. "Now, I've heard Dana say something about lightweight. I'm not even close to 155 right now, we'll put it that way. I don't like to talk about how much weight I do cut or don't cut, or how big I am or what I weigh. But ultimately, yeah, it would still be a nice little cut, not too comfortable cut down to 170 from where I am now. So I would love to fight at 170, and I think Conor wants to fight at 170. But once again, like I said, I'm not in charge of that, I'm not in control of that. I have my wishes, and I have my preferences, of course, but we'll just see what happens. Paulo Costa has recently released a hilarious video surrounding the origins of the secret juice. Here's the footage.
Ladies and gentlemen, every once in a while, a revolutionary product comes along that changes everything. In 1991, I was born and the world was introduced to me. I am a rich and smooth blend with a powerful Brazilian body that has been aged for 31 years. This is liquid gold. But now we have a new liquid gold, the secret juice. With some notes of ginger and a little bit of secret juice was formed by hard training, lift weights, running, hard sex, and many executive decisions by yours truly. We work so hard to create this delicious flavor, but a drink that will give you back everything that you left in the gym. We only have one size of secret juice because we don't have that Conor money yet.
Henry Cejudo believes Robert Whittaker is the best middleweight in the UFC, and that Whittaker would take the victory against Khamzat if the two face off this year.
You're talking about the next best thing next to Israel Adesanya, which I personally, it frustrates me, but I do believe that Robert Whittaker is the best middleweight in the world. Just watching how is it that he skies a lot of his combination is just, it's second to none. I think that's what makes Robert Whittaker special. So that being said, if I had to choose somebody who I would bet my money on, just based on experience and facts, even if you have Russ, I think we learned that. I think we learned that with the Volkanovski Islam Makhachev fight. I would have to go with Robert Whittaker. I would easily take my money. I think Robert, if it's a 5-round fight, I think it would be better for Khamzat to do a 3-round fight and get on a big pay-per-view, but go 3 rounds with Robert Whittaker rather than 5 if I was him. Because a lot of wrestling will exhaust you. When you wrestle a lot, there's a lot of clinching, there's a lot of grabbing of the hands. It will compensate your fighting. Why do I bring that up? Again, Volkanovski versus Islam.
Islam Makhachev responds to Dan Hooker for the comments he made a few days ago. Hooker suggested Islam cheated in the lead up to his fight against Volkanovski because he used an IV to rehydrate. In a recent tweet, seemingly aimed at Hooker, Islam said, "You must be held accountable for such accusations." In a strange turn of events, Islam's manager, Ali Abdelaziz, seems to have admitted that Islam did in fact use an IV. In a post on social media, Ali writes, "For all those idiots out there, any fighter under the UFC banner can take 2 to 3 liters of IV as long as it's done by a nurse or a professional. Next week I'm gonna expose everybody. Islam Makhachev is the pound for pound king." Ali then went on to delete this post almost immediately after posting it. Ariel Helwani then responded to a fan who questioned why Ali would delete the tweet. Yes, he deleted it because someone, I would think, told him he was incriminating himself with this tweet. You can't take 2 to 3 liters by a professional or not. It's 100 milliliters per 12 hours, among other details. Massive difference. Brett Okamoto tried to clear up some of the confusion surrounding IVs with a recent string of tweets. According to the UFC and USADA handbook, an IV can be used if it's determined to be medically justified and within the standard care of a licensed physician and administered by a licensed medical professional. I sought further clarification, and here's the bottom line. If an athlete is administered an IV of more than the permitted 100 milliliters, as long as it's done by a licensed pro, it's not a violation, even in cases where dehydration caused by the weight cut is the issue being treated. In other words, IVs used to treat severe dehydration caused by weight cut are not really banned, as long as a physician is the one to justify and perform it. Beneil Dariush makes a bold prediction for the upcoming fight between Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor later this year.
That's another thing on my mind is like, if that guy ends up fighting, I know it's not going to be this early, but let's say if he fought in June, if McGregor fights in June and wins, bro, he's number 1 easily. Like, even if I beat Charles, and it's crazy to think about.
Do you think that he can get it done against Chandler?
Yeah. Chandler is the easiest fight for him to win. I'm not saying he can't win against the other guys, but out of everybody, Chandler's the easiest fight just because Chandler doesn't use his skill set properly. He doesn't know how to like energy management, zero with Chandler. Striking defense, sometimes. Wrestling, sometimes. And all these things matter, you know. You have to know when to turn on what in order to be a champion, in order to win, in order to be great. But right now, he just wants to be exciting. And to be exciting, you kind of have to forget about energy management and just go out there and go till you die. And that's kind of what he does.
Guys, thanks so much for checking out the video. If you like the content we do here on this channel, don't forget to like and subscribe to MMA Library for all the latest MMA and UFC news. We'll see you in the next video.